Welcome to Modern Goddess. Here we discuss everything mastering your mindset, wellness wisdom, upgrading your relationships so that you can unleash your divine goddess essence and live your authentic best self every single day. I'm your host, Cassie Aurora. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thanks for tuning back into the podcast. I have a bajillion and one things to do today. It is the day of solstice, and I just have so much to be doing, and tonight we have our big solstice ceremony. If you're listening to this on the day of solstice that I release it, then maybe I'll see you there. I think we have about 100 or more of you coming on. Whether that's live, I'm not sure, but I'm so excited that you're choosing to share solstice with me and Sinead. If you don't know what that is, you have missed it by now anyway, but me and Sinead wanted to give back this Christmas, so we're holding a free healing circle, and I'll be leading an astrology ritual for manifesting for the year ahead, because as you'll find out today, this is one of the most powerful astrological energies really for the last 800 years, in my opinion, to be manifesting. It's insane. And I can't believe that we are so privileged to be alive in these times. I know it's been a tough year, but also what an amazing, incredible time for change, revolution that we're about to head into. And to be honest, I think like all the babies being born at this time with this imprint in their chart, wow, like I don't know if I said this in another podcast, but they say that there's like souls lining up to come here down to earth, and that's why everyone's having babies so much in 2020 apparently. But I also think it's just because like they don't have to work, so they're just like, well, what else can we do? I don't know, let's have a baby. So that's a bit of my opinion, but yeah, there is this it's said that there's a lot of souls lining up ready to come down to use the human experience to become more whole, which is a very nice way to think. And I definitely wonder, as I connect with my baby, and this is probably a whole separate podcast topic, but as the baby soul like has entered, I started to feel like all these emotions that like weren't my own. And this isn't, you know, I've done therapy for years and studying my psychotherapy, and I'm constantly learning, but I remember thinking these feel like they're not my own shadow thoughts, or they're not my own blind spots. They literally felt like someone else's. And you know, I was reading and researching, and there's a lot of wisdom in the baby's processing the karma. So I've noticed, like, as a pregnant person and processing the karma of, well being witness to processing the karma of the baby, because, you know, like, I think you're doing a lot more as a mother than just like housing a baby, which goes without saying, but I mean like on a karmic level. And obviously, you know, being, I hate to say it, an empath and feeling the big collective energies that are going on, I definitely had a lot of stuff coming from my baby that was like, wow. I was very in line with that Mars in Aries energy. I felt like anger. I'm not, like, anyone who knows me, this is not me saying definitives, I'm just generally not an angry person. Like, anger will come for me as resentment, more than anything, or like self, because I have Mars retrograde in my chart, in Taurus, so it kind of builds up and up and up, but it goes towards myself. Mars is turned inwards, so I often, someone else can do something, but I'll get angry at myself. It's like a natural thing, and that's just how I am, and then I process it and whatnot. But yeah, I was very angry, and like it came in big waves, and I was like, I'm sure this is the child's karma processing. And a lot of women experience, when they first feel the first movements of the baby, that's when they start to really get the emotions, the mood swings, if you're really tuned into yourself, of the baby and what's really happening there. And that's quite interesting, because as the soul's transitioning, it's processing everything from the past, like the anger, the sadness, and then you have everyone who was connected to that person as they were in their life, who is angry and sad, they weren't ready, they've got their attachments. So it's a huge transition. And I think as a mother, that's as like a soul midwife, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're kind of performing Reiki naturally, whether you want to or not. The best thing you can do is create a safe and loving environment, and that can be hard when you've got the mood swings and all the kind of worries of pregnancy. And I definitely know I've had ups and downs I had these crazy thoughts the other day, like, I'm going to be a terrible mother. Like, why has this child picked me? Or why, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I can't even look after myself. All those natural thoughts. But it was quite funny. I was swimming at the leisure centre and I just was looking at all these babies, and I was like, oh my God. And it really sunk in. But it was funny. But, you go through these different things, and it's all part of the journey. But I thought I'd share it with you, because I'm sure one or two of you have been there. Thank you for listening. And I did a podcast on this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, but I just want to talk about it a bit more, because it's absolutely huge, and I want to go into what it means for you roughly, or what just to expect sign by sign. Now, this goes really off your rising sign, so you would want to use my astrology classroom to get your ascendant sign if you didn't know it, and you want to use the whole sign house system. Placidus is okay, but I've really, in the last year, stopped using it, as a lot of astrologers do. So yes, you can use both. I do use both when I look at my own astrology, because you'll feel it in both. But yes, it's one you'll want your rising sign for. You can use it for your sun and your moon, so listen to you all when we get into it. But yeah, I'm not going to timestamp this, because I'm not a timestamper, I'm not an admin person, and the timestamps I don't think work the same. So just skip along, and I'm going to keep it brief, so you won't be here forever. It's going to be a short episode, but it's just for each sign what to expect. If you're someone who can't, for whatever reason, invest in a reading right now, then this might be just a little bit of how to expect some of this energy. But the astrology webinar of 2021 has all of the info of the big moves in 2021. So I'd advise, even if you can't invest in a reading, at some point I'm selling that webinar on my website. In fact, yes, and it's about $30 that you can buy it for. And that will be the webinar of 2021. And what's so great about that is, with the webinar of 2021, it tells you all the juicy energies, and you can even apply that to your own houses if you couldn't invest in a reading. So that might be a good step for you if you don't want to invest in a year ahead reading or a astrology forecast. But this part of the podcast is important, because it's going to give you context, and the context is important because it's going to help you fill out my short but sweet kind of prediction sign by sign afterwards. So without further ado, This Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is huge, and really the thing is, the two planets together aren't friends. They don't get on, but the fact that they're there together does somewhat offset the benefits. Now, there's been a lot of talk about how this will play out, and the truth is, in astrology, the only way we can really see how something's going to play out is look to the past. Now, I talk about this in my other podcast. So check that out. It's like 2 episodes ago, all about this new 20-year cycle. So I'd advise listening to that. But really the strongest time we saw this was 800 years ago. It hasn't been this strong and close since. So that's pretty incredible. And it's on the solstice, which is already quite a big energetic portal. So I'd say that's pretty notable. Oh, I need to slow down. This is when I walk too fast and talk too fast. But hey, you can be my workout. My podcasting is a workout for pregnant people. Yeah, so it's the biggest energy in 800 years. And honestly, that means when you're manifesting, then it's going to be big. But even if you're not, and you don't follow astrology, or you're like, I'm just going to see what happens, it'll affect you. It will be slow. This is not a fast transit. It's like the ground is moving slowly underneath your feet. It's not moving fast. So you're going to look back in like a year's time and see that this was the turning point in whatever area. And for some people who are very fixed, and the signs, which it's going to affect most, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio and Aquarius, going to be a little bit more challenging for you. For Aquarius, it will be a mixed bag, just so you know. But the point I'm making is, if you're not flexible, if you struggle to adapt to change, this can be a very, very difficult time. It's going to bring some hard lessons for some folk in order to bring what's right. So whatever that looks like for you is what it looks like. For others, it will feel like just downright gifts, new beginnings, and that will also feel wonderful. But what is going to happen now, it's not all going to happen in 1 week, will be the turning point for the next 20 years. And in your life, you're going to feel the next 20 years have this new foundation and new wisdom that aligns to your higher truth. There will be new Saturn is structures, so structures, new routines, new long-lasting, because Saturn is a long-lasting planet, long-lasting things, depending where it is. And for some signs it's big, and for others not so much, and that's also fine. It's also not as clear cut as it's like this for one sign and this for another sign, because you have your own personal chart with your own personal placements, which is highly unique to you as an individual. So bear that in mind. And if you are thinking, well, still I think I want to get a reading, you can actually just go ahead and look into your email around Christmas. I'm going to send you a nice big promotional code to save quite a big chunk on your readings. So definitely use that, because why not? And if you're still not ready, that's also fine. But this is why I love astrology, because it's so personal. So I couldn't say exactly how it will play out for you, but I can give you a good idea when we go sign by sign. Now, note the moment that Saturn moved into Aquarius, in England, we saw tighter restrictions immediately. Saturn and England are like, England is a very Saturn-ruled place, old institutions, authority. It's kind of like that pomp and circumstance, that Britishness. That's very Saturn, like tradition for the sake of tradition. It's very British. And yes, Saturn is authority. Aquarius is free movement, the masses, people, freedom, spreading out. It's the hoi polloi, so everyone who's not in the establishment or authority. it's us. And Saturn moved into Aquarius, and literally that day we had like this new extra tier 4 and Christmas was cancelled, and it was like, you know, that's just your perspective. Like, you can still do Christmas in your own way, but I get it, not seeing your loved ones is trash. And, you know, some of my loved ones are happy to meet when I stand on their drive, and others are like, don't come near the house, and that's fine wherever people are at. But it can be hard, and I definitely felt the disappointment. But the disappointment really came from like this fact that the government says something and that's it. And Saturn in Aquarius was literally like a manifestation of this. But don't worry, because when Jupiter joins, there's going to start to be, you know, and this Uranus square starts kicking off in January. That's when I talked about in this webinar, things are going to kick off. The people aren't going to really listen. And it's going to be a year of pushing back, wanting better, wanting our freedom back, you know, and whatever your beliefs on it are, that's absolutely fine, because I don't think anyone really knows the absolute truth if they're honest with themselves, the same as me. I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there's something more going on, but that's my own perspective and it could be wrong. But yeah, so this is very Saturn in Aquarius. A lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be a new age and everyone's going to live in peace and harmony. I'm like, let's get realistic, because where we are right now, we're ending a massive 20,000 year cycle, and we are not at the end. There's going to be a lot more purging. Pluto is still in Capricorn, so we are still having this disintegration of the powers that, not the powers, the structures that have been in place, and that's going to be going on a long time. And I know I sound like a broken record, like the same thing every episode, but it's because it's the big theme. What can you do? Well, in yourself, if you're unhappy with the outward world, keep working inward. This is still a revolutionary time, but that's like your own inner revolution. You know, like when I started psychotherapy, now I know it's because Pluto was literally transiting every single personal planet I have. And if anyone's into astrology, and as we learn in the astrology school, that's kind of a big deal. So of course it was going to be a huge time. So how this will affect you, I can't say without seeing your chart, but I'm gonna give you like the most basic version, so that you can at least get something. So where is this going to affect you in the next 20 years? Really, this conjunction isn't going to come back for the next kind of, in this strength, for the next 80 years. I ain't going to be around then, I don't think. So this is life-changing. And what's worth mentioning is all the old conjunctions, most of them, that they spend 200 years, these grand conjunctions, in one modality. So earth, air, fire, or water. And we've just been having them in earth. There was, when we saw the rise of the hippie counterculture, that was another conjunction. But what's worth noting is how it played out then was very different to how it will play out now, but we will see some of the same themes. And if you're someone who is really on my wavelength and you're like, yeah, I get sometimes what Cassie's talking about without her saying it outright, because of, you know, the powers that be that will stop my podcast being listed, which probs already is, because it definitely hasn't got as many listens, or maybe just fed up of me. Who knows? But if you have Netflix and you haven't watched the trial of the Chicago 7, I'm not saying it's like the best thing I've ever seen, but how astrologically they have timed this when we're seeing another return of a similar conjunction is very, very, very interesting. Because when you watch that, if you're like on the same like kind of wavelength as me, or you follow my partner Alex and you're kind of in his crypto community, trust me, you are going to see why that film is so significant. And if you're trying to learn astrology more, watch that film, because it shows Saturn in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, as we have seen this year, and Jupiter being weak in Capricorn. It's literally showing up the themes of this year in terms of the courtroom. So it's called The Trial of Chicago 7 on Netflix, and I watched it last night. And then you can see the people are like the Uranus and Taurus energy we're going to see. And you have different variants of that. You can literally see different vibrations of the same kind of energy in a way. And it's so interesting. So I really enjoyed it, but the judge in it, I was like, I want to kill him. If you've ever seen Captain Fantastic, he's a guy who plays the dad. He is literally the most Saturn in Capricorn character you could ever cast in anything. And anyway, he actually sent me, I think, partially insane in this film, because I was like, I just want to kill him. But it was because he was so Saturn in Capricorn, and it was just so blatant that he was not giving any room to anyone that wouldn't fit the mold, and was like, you're not doing what you're supposed to, therefore you're a problem. And it was just so fascinating. I really like this film. So I know it's a tangent, but I think if you're trying to learn astrology, you're not going to come to my astrology school, that film is a good lesson in astrology. So there you go, there's your homework. Go and watch this if you want to. And just before we get into the forecast for each 12 signs, I just want to remind you that you have literally a week, 10 days left to save $100 off on my astrology school. We start mid-January. It's the next round. I am super pumped for astrology school. I just think it's my baby, and the women in it last time, like, some of them are just taking their time to go through it slowly, but that's fine because you have the course content forever. And you can jump on every single course again if you've been on one. So you could do the course like 10 times if that was how many times I ran it. But some of them went hardcore and they are like really gifted. And they're now moving on to do like level 2, where they're learning how to coach with astrology. So level 1 is about you and your chart and reading charts. We do practice on each other's charts, but it will get you reading a chart comprehensively. We move into predictive techniques at the end. You will understand your chart in a lot of depth, so it's really powerful. It's better than an astrology reading because it teaches you the tools to do it yourself. So this is why I'm so passionate about astrology school, because I don't want you to be dependent on an astrologer. I think you have the skills to learn this yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's like having a tarot deck and reading tarot for yourself versus going to another person. Sometimes you want to go to another person just because, but every day you don't want to, and you want the guidance. You want to get ahead. You want to know where you're heading so you can actually change things, you know? I always think of it like fate versus free will. Fate is the 10-ton truck coming at you, but your free will affects, and your actions now, in this moment, affect what happens in the future. And you can turn that truck into a bicycle or a bird coming at you, you know? So this is like what I use astrology for in my life. So I was preparing for this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. I knew I was going to get pregnant, basically. So I had to put all the things in place for that. I backtracked. I was way ahead of myself, but I also knew how else it could play out. And I've seen moments where I could have got very sick and made sure that didn't happen. I manifested a different vibration of that. So this is why astrology is so powerful. But still, you know, I haven't been prepared for everything, you know, and that's fine. I'm still learning as I go, and I'm like, oh, that was that. But astrology school is incredible for giving you the tools to really get to grips with astrology. So you're not dependent on an astrologer, on me. It is the one. I'm so proud of it. So if you want to save $100 off, you can sign up in December. drop me an email, or you can read more on my website. The link will be in the show notes, but if you head to my website, cassieaurora.com, there's not loads on there. You can't get super lost. So just follow the Astrology Made Simple course. And yeah, just drop me a message. It is by application only. I am not application, but I like to chat to you first. If there's not a match there, then I won't like take your money and be like, yeah, this is the course for you. If it's not the right course for you, if it's not a right match between you and I, it's like, okay, like I'm not going to take your money. So this is really about, are you passionate? Do you want to learn it? Do you find me helpful as a teacher? If those questions are yes, then great, you're going to love astrology school. And we kick off mid-January, so I'm very excited about it. So I hope you will, if you're thinking, I really want to do it and you're not sure, still get in touch, because if it's not now, at least you have the connection going on and you can, manifest that coming. Or ask for it for a Christmas present, that's what I would do. So exciting. So let's hop into the forecast. Let me check I'm still recording, because it's raining. Yes, I'm still recording. Oh, when I'm like, this episode's going to be short and sweet. Okay, so let's start with Aquarius. So this is so much easier. So for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this conjunction is happening in your first house, which is affecting your overall life. This is huge. So in the next year, you're going to have some challenges, maybe to do with the physical body and the health. If you've been neglecting your body, now is the time to really start looking after it. It's going to be a very magnificent time where everything in your life could be overhauled. If you've been particularly having psychological challenges going on, where it's been so difficult the last 2 years psychologically, you've maybe had some depression, anxiety, struggled with sleep, think of this as a new beginning. Especially if you feel like you've been dragged through hell the last 2 years, well done, you are nearly at the end, because this is like the new generation of you. It's going to affect pretty much everything in your life, to be honest. And depending on your placements, it can be easy or more challenging. But in the long run, this will be the point you turn back and say, that was when my life changed. The first house is you, your life, your individual self, your health, your body. So there you go. And that's it for Aquarius, more or less. For who's after Aquarius? Jeez. For Pisces. And Pisces, am I going backwards? Wait. Yeah. Okay. For Pisces and for Pisces rising, this is happening in your 12th house of psychological, hidden, self-destructive place. It's also the place of deep rest. It's the place of hidden gifts. But the 12th house is Pisces people are so familiar with the 12th house because they're very 12th housey. So this could be a new psychological beginning, a new spiritual beginning. Don't be surprised if you really suddenly start getting problems with sleep, loads of like awakening moments. You might even get paranormal experiences with Jupiter in the 12th house, or it's the desire to really want to work hard to develop your clairvoyance or those kind of intuitive skills, which you naturally have anyway, but there's some kind of block there. This is a really important time to begin meditation, if you have not already, on a daily basis if you can, because this will affect you psychologically and you will not be able to hide from it, because it's going to happen either way. So Pisces rising and Pisces people, this is huge, but it's kind of, you're going to feel it more internally and you will not be able to put your finger on it. It will also probably be a big clearing of old karma. Think of it like an alchemical mutation, and actually it can be really wonderful if you own it in the right way. So try not to fall into self-destructive patterns, which could be how it begins, but let's hope it doesn't finish that way. Now is a great time to seek psychotherapy or anything of that ilk. I genuinely think this is great for you. So for Aries and Aries rising, this is in the 11th house. This is going to be all about your it will be about your networks, your connections, so maybe new friends, new high-flying networks of people. It's also to do with long-term goals and long-term gains and attributes, and it's kind of the hopes and dreams house, I call it sometimes. So this is going to be huge. You're going to get the rewards from any career stuff that's been really difficult. Move to new networks, meet with new people, and you may even like get more high-flying connections. This is the time it's going to happen, so enjoy it. And yeah, if that doesn't resonate, maybe you might want to book a private reading because it's very personal. For Taurus and Taurus rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So career is going to take a big boost for the next 20 years. This is a critical time where everything that is happening to do with meeting new people, teachers, authority figures, it's all going on with career. So follow the signs, the synchronicities, work hard, but know that this is a new 20-year beginning for your career goals. How very exciting. And for Cancer and Gemini, and Gemini rising, this is going to be happening in your 9th house of, the 9th house is all our spiritual beliefs. It's the beliefs of, it can be higher education. You may be going back to study, going to university. It's your spiritual beliefs, it's travel, expansion, gurus and teachers. So just look out for what's happening there. New gurus may come your way, new opportunities to get into all things woo-woo, occultism, astrology. This is the time for you to really start a new 20-year cycle there. Okay, for Cancer and Cancer rising, this is happening in your 8th house of transformation, debt, sex, taxes, other people's money, your partner's resources if you're married, inheritance. So this can be a brand new cycle where you could get some windfalls of money. If your partner, you've been with your partner, there can be, if you've survived the last 2 years, Cancer ascendant with your marriage partner or long-term partner, well done, seriously, because that is very notable. And this is going to be a new beginning to do with essentially your self-transformation, your inner psychology. So it's a time to repair any damage, a time to liberate yourself, a time to dive deep into any psychological patterns that hold you back. It's also the taboo stuff, the Scorpio weird stuff. So some people say astrology as well. So it can be a time of huge transformation. Trust me, it will be very subtle. The 8th house is the place of crisis, so there could be some crisis involved depending on your placements, but generally I feel for most of you this will be the end of these 20 years magnificent. For Leo and Leo rising, this is in your 7th house of marriage partners, long-term partners, partners you have children with, or business partners. So they're partners of a contractual nature or other people. So if you're in a relationship, it may go to the next level. So Leo ascendants, this can be the time that marriage proposals come, moving in, kids come, your partner, your business partner and you can have a magnificent new change. You can have a big promotion with your business partner, just something big. You will feel this in a big way. It's very exciting for Leo ascendants, so enjoy it. For Virgo and Virgo rising, this is all about new patterns to do with health, daily routines, really recommitting to your health in a way that will affect you for the next 20 years. New daily routines and structures. There can be, some, like you have a lot going on at first. You have to really overhaul. All right, what are my daily routines? what is my health? I need to overhaul this. And it's a great time to start the 21st of December, those fitness regimes for Virgo rising, because it will last better than if you start at New Year's Day. That's for sure. Otherwise, you're going to just be struggling big time to maintain it, because Uranus will be in the mix. And it can be as well, just if you have any employees under you or employment, your place of daily work, that could come up as a big theme, and there may be some challenges there, or you get just a fantastic new employee. If you're an entrepreneur, great time to outsource. Do it now. Don't wait till New Year, because then it gets a bit more problematic. All right, so where are we now? Libra and Libra rising. Okay, this is happening in your 5th house. Relationships can move to a next level, can be a time of fun and enjoyment. Investments pay off. You can restudy something you feel super passionate about. This is actually great for Libra. It can bring children. My partner's a Libra, and it will bring us a child. It can bring marriage, can bring a next level commitment in romantic relationships, or a new partner in romantic relationships. So really nice for Libra ascendants. And I say, committing to something new, studying something new, or getting back to creativity. For for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this is me. It's happening in your 4th house of family. So no shock there. I'm having a big focus on family, and restructuring the way family has been for me. That's definitely happening. Restructuring old family beliefs and karma. Having a moment where you have a family change. This might feel difficult at the beginning, like I'm having a baby. That's another example. This can be also just a deep psychological transformation. And there can be lots of issues with property or new property and a new beginning. You might move somewhere depending on your chart, and this can mark a new cycle for the next 20 years really of your housing and property. So it's very, very exciting, I think. I have a lot of Scorpio friends who have literally just Scorpio ascendant friends who've literally bought property this week, and I'm like, there you go. So it will play out in somewhere like that. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this is a new beginning in your 3rd house. 3rd house is siblings, communication, day-to-day stuff, vehicles, local environment. So it could be like a good example would be if you've got a small business, you start a new marketing campaign, you decide to really go all in on your small business. If you're an entrepreneur, you decide to go all in on a new podcast. Start podcasts, they're amazing. You might start a podcast if you're an entrepreneur. You might start a new social media platform. You might just get more on media. You might start to public speak if that's something you're scared about. There could be a new beginning with a sibling, which is positive in the long run. So just look out for those things, new cars and stuff like that, which is quite a funny energy, but it does happen. And lots more movement and travel. All right, for last one, Capricorn and Capricorn rising. This is happening in your 2nd house of finances, cha-ching. So if you're a Capricorn, this is going to affect you financially. You'll feel lots of financial gains. I would not be surprised if you suddenly realize, okay, this is a new foundation. What I will say is, if your financial affairs are not in order, please get them in order now, because it can be challenging. Just like Cancer ascendant, this is the place of money and debts. So can be great gains in money, particularly online currency. If you want to know more about that, and this goes for anyone really, if you want to know more about that, online currency, my partner is an absolute whiz at it. So make sure you listen out. We're going to do a podcast over Christmas, and we're going to give you the lowdown of astrology for online currency, and this is cryptocurrency, and ways to get your money secure in the future, to move into the new age, and to potentially make a lot of money as well. So yes, that is pretty much the deal for Capricorn, new financial beginnings, which I'm sure Capricorns will be happy to hear. But just make sure if there's anything that's not in order, you get it in order now, because it could be challenging for you. But it's been hard for Capricorn so far, so this will feel like a walk in the park compared, I think. So yeah, I wanted to bring you that little update. Let me know if you like me doing it sign by sign, and I will definitely do that for you. I'm so out of breath. I think this has been difficult for you to listen to. But like I said, I have so many things to do today. And one of them is the solstice circle. So if you're coming, if you came, thank you so much. If you missed out this time, you could still watch the video or just reach out and let me know. And I'll let you know if we do anything like that in the future. But the key is, look out for my emails. Make sure you're in the mailing list. Listen to the podcast and you won't miss a thing. And if you want to know about astrology school, of course, let me know. I would love to teach you astrology. But in the meantime, have a beautiful Christmas. I do not think that I will do another podcast before Christmas. It's my 30th birthday, Christmas Day. So it's pretty unlikely. So I genuinely thank you for listening, for sharing and supporting the podcast. You do not know how much I value that. So thank you so much, and share this episode if you found it useful. And please, 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 if you want more free astrology information, head to my website, my blog, or listen back to old podcasts. It can be like free stuff for you to learn over Christmas. Oh, and let me know if you watch the Trial of Chicago 7. We can talk, because it's seriously very interesting from many perspectives. Okay, so take it easy and we'll speak soon, and I wish you a wonderful Merry Christmas.